Greetings, beautiful ones. I am Ms. BJ Martin, and this is Snails with No Shells. And this podcast is dedicated to breast cancer awareness. Okay, and now I would like to introduce my guest, the one and only beautiful and amazing Dana Miles.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for coming to thank you for joining the podcast. This is amazing.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yeah. And okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is Dana Miles. Dana, I want to let you know that we're going to dedicate this particular show to your mother, Lisa Miles. Yes, this is for her because Dana has not actually been the one with cancer. It was her mother. So we dedicate this to her, and I'm honored to have you.
Thank you. You know, she would be ecstatic.
Yes, she would. Yes, she would. She'd have been on the show.
Yes, she would have. Yes, she would have. I should say, yes. You know, she would have been on here telling her story, advocating the whole nine.
Yes. So we'll just start off first with a little bit about you, and then we'll talk about your experience. Because I like this point of view, this perspective, because a lot of times you might hear about the person that, had survived, but I hadn't really heard the children, what the children had to deal with during this process. You know what I mean?
Right.
So Dana Miles. Okay, so Dana, where are you from?
I am born and raised Cincinnati, Ohio.
All right, woo, the Buckeye State.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ohio State, the Ohio State won yesterday. Yes,
we did.
Mm-hmm.
And last I checked, the Bengals are winning today.
Okay, not a Bengals fan, but I understand.
But I'm a 47-year-old single mother of two grown children. One who will be 25 next month. Another one who will be 30 in April, who's actually born on my mother's birthday.
And when is your mom's birthday?
April the 17th.
Okay.
And that's her first grandbaby, and he's upstairs asleep at the moment. He's visiting for my birthday. My birthday was Friday, so he's here visiting. But he would also be a good one to talk about his view, because he was on her side a lot during the process. Being a only child of a mother who had breast cancer was tough, because as children we don't never think these things are going to happen to our parents. Really was tough hearing this news. Being when she was diagnosed, I want to say my mom was at the time, she was only 41.
And how old were you?
Jeez. I was in my early 30s. I know it was in 2006. Because around the time, that's when I had all my complications. When she died, it was in 2006, I should say. I want to say she was diagnosed in 2002. I want to say she was diagnosed in 2002.
Okay.
She was fairly young. She had been complaining about a knot that she had been feeling on her breast, but she was scared. She was nervous. She's like, it's not really bothering me or anything. It doesn't hurt or anything, but she said, I just been kind of keeping it pushing. And at the time, we didn't have Obamacare, and we didn't have, the very best of insurance. So her thing was, she didn't really want to go to the doctor. because she's like, it's going to rack up bills that I really don't have to pay at the moment. And, I'll go. So finally she decided to go. And when she got the news, she was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. So it was quite aggressive at the time.
Okay.
She had to do chemo, radiation, along with, she also had the surgery. She had a mastectomy as well. It was tough for me because when you hear the big C word and you hear cancer and you have a parent or even a relative, for us, the first thing we think is death.
Right.
To me, it was just like, I just felt like it was almost like a death sentence, It was tough. It really, really was tough. Seeing her go through that process. She didn't lose her hair right away, because the chemo that they decided to use and the radiation that they decided to use, didn't cause her hair to fall out right away. So, but she was in good spirits through this whole process, unlike myself. She used to often tell me I was in denial. And I'm like, no, Mom, I'm not in denial. Like, you'll be fine. It's going to be okay. It's going to be, you're going to be all right. Like,
right. You're just trying to remain optimistic, especially for her during that time.
But a lot of times, as she would tell you and Carla, I don't think she really understands what's going on with me. I don't really think she's prepared for what can possibly happen to me. And I'm like you said, trying to be optimistic, don't want to think the worst. So she went through all that, and they got all the cancer. So I at the time, I like, yeah, we good, you straight, She went in remission for a year, but after her yearly checkup, when she came back for her yearly checkup, it had came back.
Okay.
Her breast cancer had came back, but this time.
Oh, Dana. Pause. Just give me for a second. Some people don't know what remission means. Can you explain what the term remission means when it comes to cancer?
When it comes to cancer, when you're in remission, meaning that you don't have any form of cancer at the moment. That means that if there's any little cancer there, it's kind of dormant, meaning that it's not as aggressive. And pretty much that you, at the moment, you're cancer free.
Okay.
Just because of the treatment and everything that was taken. And she also had the surgery, which removed a lot of where the cancer was at the time in her breast. And the mastectomy is where she had her breast removed, and she also had it reconstructed. So they had reconstructed her a breast, so that way she wouldn't feel like she didn't have any breasts.
Right.
And she would always make this ongoing running joke about having the mastectomy and having the reconstruction. She always told me she was going to have this bomb body.
That's right.
And I'm like, well, Mom, how do you figure this? She's like, because I'm going to have new boobs. And she's like, and they're taking some of the fat out of my stomach to make those boobs. So I said, oh, okay. Well, I guess in that case, you will have a new body.
Gotta love.
So she's like, yeah, I'm gonna be on somebody's beach with my bikini on, with my new body, and we would laugh. We would just laugh and laugh. But when she went for her yearly checkup and to get the news that the cancer had came back, and it came back way more aggressive than she had before. It had actually spread through her body. I guess mistake. I can't pronounce it, but it basically spread through her body, and at this point, it had gotten into her bones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So she had to go back into radiation and chemo, and that at that point, that's when she lost her hair.
Okay.
That's when she lost her hair, and that was hard for her. She had a cancer group who made wigs. I think it's called Locks of Love. They made her, a wig she was happy about and she liked. But it still kind of bothered her, and I can tell. But still, and yet, she was in good spirits. Unlike myself, at this point, I was a little broken up because it's like, okay, what does this mean at this point?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But she was still in good spirits. But she would tell everybody, I really think my daughter is in denial. I really think she's in denial at this point, because at this time she was diagnosed at stage 4. And everybody knows what happens when you diagnose at stage 4. Basically, they've kind of come to doing everything that they possibly can.
Okay.
To, treat you for cancer. I guess to a sense I was in denial, because I just never thought that my mom would leave. You know what I mean? I never thought that she would leave me.
Right. Especially at that young age, we
At
expect
that
our
young
parents
age.
we expect for our parents to get older and we, attend
Yeah,
their funeral. Yeah.
exactly. And we take a lot of things with our parents for granted. We really do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, in my mind, it's just like she's always gonna be there. She gonna fight. She fought through it the first time. We're gonna get through this again. She gonna be all right. That's all I kept saying. She gonna be all right. She gonna be all right. She gonna be all right.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept trying to, for the longest, to spiritually get me connected with God in church.
Okay.
And she said, and it's not that I didn't have a belief in God. It's just at a young age, it's not always on our agenda, I should say.
Okay.
Because we're so preconsumed with everything else in our life. Kids, hanging out with friends, doing family stuff, just doing us.
Right.
Where I just, never gave it the thought that I should have. You know what I mean? Okay. And a lot of times too, it kind of tested my faith a little bit, because it's like, if you love me, why would you let this happen to my mother? Why would you take her from me?
Okay.
But she wanted me to get right with God, because she knew that's what I was going to need to get through this process.
Okay.
But her relationship with my oldest son, he knew everything she wanted and all her wishes. The first time that I went to a chemo appointment, I just broke down and cried the whole time. I was just this big sob and cry baby the whole time. And she told London, and she told a couple of my other friends, like, look, don't let this heifer come to near other appointments.
That sounds like your mom. That sounds like your mother.
Come to near other appointment, because I don't have time to have her sitting up here crying and hooping and hollering. She got to get it together. And I'm just like, every time I just couldn't. Because I just didn't want to see her going through this process. If I could do this process for her, I would have. But it was one of the toughest things that I've ever experienced. And even to this day, a lot of my friends and you guys, you know, all still say I haven't completely grieved. And I really technically don't think I have. Because I just always kept it moving. Because I just felt like I had to do that for my family.
Right.
But yeah, that was one of the toughest, hardest things that I had to ever experience in my life. Was seeing my mom deal with breast cancer. Like it was just something I just wasn't prepared for. Even when it came down to the final moments, you know, I remember getting that phone call. I had just came home from the hospital myself, from being in the hospital for almost a month, from my own health issues. And getting that call at 6 a.m. And, you know, and it was just like, okay, is this Dana Miles? And I'm like, yes. They was like, okay, you're the daughter of Lisa Miles. I'm like, yes. And they're like, well, we need you to contact your dad, and we need you as well to come to the hospital as soon as possible.
Wow.
And it's just like, well, what's going on? What's going on? You know, of course, because of HIPAA, they won't give you the information over the phone and all that. And when we get there, my dad had beat me there because he was closer to the hospital. And when I get there, to see my father cry, that was, excuse me.
Oh, it's okay.
Because this is the strongest man in my life. Out of 30-something years, I never seen this man cry for nothing. Nothing. Not even his brother that passed. And to see him cry at the hospital just prepared me. But something that I wasn't ready to deal with. And basically, that was, this was it. And to talk with the doctors was just like, if anyone wants to see her, they need to come and see her now. It was just like, whoa. I mean, it was just, all of this would just happen in a matter of minutes, as it seemed to me anyway. It was just like minutes, you know. And I remember going into the room, I asked her, I said, Mom, you know, what is it that you want to do? And then she said, well, you know, she said, baby, I'm not finished. I'm not done fighting. I want to fight to the end. She said, if this is what it's going to do to make me comfortable, she said, go ahead and do it. I remember me and her laughing because Clarice had came and seen her, which was her best friend. And everybody that knows, Auntie Clarice wears her red lipstick. And she said, you know, she marked me and she showed me the lipstick print. And we laughed. And she said, you know, call everybody, you know, call my mom. And at this time, my grandmother had dementia. So she really wasn't aware of what's going on. But she, call everybody, call my brothers, you know, call my sisters. Because at this time, anybody, like, I can't explain it. It was like she was preparing herself for this moment. Because I can remember not too long before she passed, she was calling people she hadn't talked to in a long time, people that she had fell out with. She called and made amends. She called and made amends with her biological father. And in my mind, it's like, well, why? You know what I'm saying? Why are you talking to him? He don't care, you know?
Right.
But she's like, no, I need to do this. And I need to do this now. And I just felt like I didn't understand it at the moment. But I really think she was preparing herself for that moment.
Right. Right.
And she had been trying to prepare me for a long time for this moment. But she told London everything that she wanted from her funeral arrangements. She even told him, like, look, when I'm gone, you the glue. You got to hold everybody together. You got to hold your mother together. You got to hold your grandfather together. And you got to keep tabs on your brother. And to this day, he has done just that. And at times, it's a lot of pressure on him. He feels a lot of pressure because he asks himself sometimes, why does she want me to do this? Because even to this day, I always question why she's never come to me in a dream. Why she's never came and spoke to me, or have I, you know how people see after death.
Yeah.
She's never came to me. She comes to both of my boys every year around her birthday and around her death anniversary, which has just not too long passed, which was in September 30th.
Okay.
So, but with me, she hasn't. She really, she never had. And a lot of times people have told me that's because she knows I'm okay. She knows I'm going to be okay. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough, Brandy. It's just one of the toughest moments in my life because we take that for granted.
Right.
And it's a scary process. It really is. It's just a whole scary process. You know, it chokes me up sometimes to even, as you can see, to talk about it.
It's supposed to.
Like
it's supposed to. That's your mother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad about that, and don't say excuse me. You should be shedding tears. Absolutely. Yeah. So if there was anything that you maybe wanted to ask her, is there anything, like a question that you may have wanted to ask her, just about anything that you might want to know?
It would be so many questions. It would be more than just one. One thing I would love to tell her is, I know why you didn't want to keep my youngest baby all the time, because he was bad as all get out. And I experiencing this, and I say this to say I'm experiencing this with his baby, who's 2. It's just like, oh, now I know what you mean.
Right.
Now I know why you ain't want to keep me. You know, right. I get it.
Do you?
She had just like him.
Right. Do you journal about your mom, or have you written these questions, like all the questions that you would like to ask?
I've written a few things down and stuck them in my Bible. I've done that. I don't journal I haven't journaled a whole lot, you know. But lately, Because of all the things that's been going on in my life, especially this year
Mm-hmm.
and these last couple of months, I know she's with me.
Okay.
This is one of the first times that I really felt like she's with me.
Okay.
And I think that's because I bought my first home and I'm moving my dad in with me.
Congratulations.
And I thank you. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that has put her at peace,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that he's okay
Right.
and he's with his daughter and his grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
that
amazing.
I, and I think that's why everything has been coming full circle and the blessings has been coming. And
Mm-hmm.
even though this process has been scary for me, I've been blessed through this whole thing
Mm-hmm.
to do so much here in this home.
Mm-hmm.
She made it. I can honestly say her and God made it happen.
Yes, I am a firm believer that, well, I'm gonna say it's more than a belief for me. I know that once your ancestors, once when they transition and they go to the other side, they are able to help you more
Yeah.
on the other side, spiritually. They can make some moves for you. Absolutely. I know that to be true. So yeah, I know that whew, this was a great conversation. Miss Lisa, she Auntie Lisa, Mama Lisa, she was always had a beautiful spirit about her and just beautiful energy, and always fun to be around and somebody that you could really talk to.
Right.
Yeah. So did y'all? Okay. So during the process when she was suffering, did you talk a lot?
We
Did you have a
did.
lot of conversations? Okay.
We had conversations,
Mm-hmm.
but they were hard for me to accept those conversations.
Okay.
Because and I say this because
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. She would say that you gotta face reality. You you gotta accept this. You gotta understand I'm not gonna be here forever. And those just was conversations I wasn't trying to hear.
Okay.
A lot of times I would always brush it off and
Mm-hmm.
I don't wanna deal with it. I don't wanna hear that. That's not what I wanna hear from you. You know what I mean?
I got you. Mm-hmm. I
And
totally understand.
that would frustrate her a lot because she's like, my daughter's not getting it. My daughter's not understanding
Mm-hmm.
like what the reality of this is.
Mm-hmm.
But
And it
I
had to
just
be a lot because you were only child, so you wouldn't even have like a sister or a brother that you could talk to, to help
no.
deal with this.
I had my two god sisters
Okay.
who are raised like my sisters,
Mm-hmm.
but they were younger than me. They were much younger than me,
Mm-hmm.
and they wasn't ready to face that.
Right.
They wasn't ready to accept that horror reality.
Mm-hmm.
But I can say before she crossed over, my god sister was
Uh-oh, you faded out.
um my sister held her hand and she was stroking her hair,
Mm-hmm.
and my sister said to her, you because she kept blinking her eyes, and she said, am I getting on your nerves? And she blinked her eyes twice and we laughed.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, after that, we went, when my sister had left, we went back, and that's when she had crossed over. She had to stare. You can see the stare of death in her eyes. She had crossed over.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she really waited till my god sister got there. That was her baby. That was her other baby. She waited till she got there before she left.
Okay.
Yeah. And
That's amazing.
Even to this day, my two god sisters, they are my caretakers. I mean, I ain't gonna say caretakers, but they are my rock, because they don't let nothing grow up under me. Like they call me every other day, checking on me, making sure I'm good, need anything. It's like, I'm the closest thing to them for as like, a mom or whatever, because their mom died not too long ago from cancer as well.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I'm their rock, but yeah, that sick thing, that cancer, that's a scary thing. After my mom died, my boys were fearful of cancer. I can remember turning 35, and my boys were on, because they, especially London, they had read that, when you have a parent who's had cancer, that it's important for you to get a checkup rather sooner than later, and especially not at 40. You're supposed to get it done as soon as possible, or at least at 35. Okay. And when I turned 35, I mean, they were giving me all kind of cards.
I know it. Yeah.
That suggested me go get a breast exam. One even had the door hanger breast exam thing on it to remind me to check my breast. So finally I decided, like, okay, I'm gonna do this for the boys, because they've been on my back. They've been on me about going. I remember London was, I want to say he was a senior in high school. He was like a senior in high school. And I want to say Landon was like a freshman. And they were on me about going. And I decided to go. I finally went. And they explained African American women have very dense breasts. So a lot of times you may find, little lumps and stuff in it, because we have very dense breasts. So they said it would be normal, sometimes if we was to get a call back from the doctor after having your first mammogram. So I went and got my first mammogram, and of course, they called me back. So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, they tell me you have dense breasts. But they didn't sound like the regular routine thing. They didn't want to discuss anything with me. Which scared the living death out of me. Like, I'm just okay. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, this is close to the age my mom was diagnosed. What does this mean for me? So I had to come in. They sat me down. They said they seen, a mass. They seen two. They wanted me to have a biopsy, explain what the biopsy and stuff was, and they wanted to go in, and they explained it as this little simple procedure. It's nothing. You'll be okay. You're gonna be fine. Nothing's gonna hurt. Well, go in for the biopsy. Didn't know they were gonna actually cut on my breast. Because I didn't plan for that. Because mind you, I had this done around my birthday, and I was coming down to actually visit you.
She's coming to Atlanta, y'all.
And they cut on my breast, and just the whole waiting game was just making us a nervous wreck, and men don't typically like to go to the doctor. And they typically don't like to go to the doctor with women. But when Ronnie had offered to go with me, it just really made me seem like, okay, am I dying? Is this death? Like, what's going to happen? What does this mean? Like, because he was even worried and concerned. Okay. And the whole 2 weeks of waiting was just crucial. But I ended up getting a call, and they said that it was It wasn't cancer.
Okay.
It was benign, that I just have dense breasts, but I still was at risk because of my mom. So
Right.
I had to go to an actual cancer breast doctor. I had to follow a cancer breast doctor for about a year,
Okay.
just so they can see, so they can do different images. I had to go at 3 months. I had to go back at 6 months, and then I had to go back at a year, because they wanted to make sure the images were all showing the same type of images, that I just had, lumpy disc breasts.
Okay.
And once they seen that a normal pattern, then they released me and was like, okay, I should be fine. So
Okay.
I've been fine ever since, and I've been kind of keeping up on it. I always get a 3D mammogram, which is important
Yes.
for Black women, because, like I said, we do have dense breasts. I just stay up on it. Just stay up on it. I don't do a lot of. This is my first podcast. Let me say that, and then to actually do it in reference to breast cancer from my mom, is a first as well, because I really don't do a. You have people that do grieving and do things for relatives and parents in reference to breast cancer. They advocate. They'll wear the t-shirts. They'll go do breast cancer walks and runs and different stuff like that, and they'll march in parades. I never wanted to do anything of this sort, because I still never came to grips of my mom dying from cancer. So this here is the whole first for me. Actually, you were the first person that walked in my mom's honor, because my aunts and uncles tried to get me to do it, and I refused to do it. It's just like, no, because that's what took her out, and that's just how I felt about it.
Right.
Like, I'm not advocating for this. I'm not walking for this. I still had a lot of anger in me about it. But, I'm getting a lot better with it. Get a lot better, a lot of understanding.
That's amazing. Well, I commend you for taking those steps. That process is different for everybody, so there's no right or wrong way on how you should do certain things,
right?
And I'm very and I like I said, I thank you for you said this is really your first time really talking about it openly and on my podcast. So thank you very much. That's very brave of you. And very brave, and I'm proud of you. Because this is a major step.
It is
in your healing process, and I'm glad to be a part of that.
Thank you.
Yes, this is beautiful. I love it. Wow. What a story. The only child dealing with the loss of her mom to breast cancer.
Yes.
And then going through your own issues mentally and and health wise. So
right.
Wow, what a story.
Right.
What a story.
And I even to this day, and friends get on me about that as well, where doctors have told me that they would like me to have genetic testing. And with the genetic testing, they can determine and also tell you your number as far as your risk factors of what forms of cancer you're at risk to having, if any, and your percentages of getting it. When having a relative or a parent, they recommend you to get the genetic testing. And I just never did it. Just because who wants to know that? It's just always been in my mind. Who wants to know what are your odds of having cancer?
Right.
But you have people that are proactive that want to know.
Right.
Who want to get a handle on it. I had another good girlfriend whose mom passed away of cancer at a fairly young age as well, and she got the genetic testing, and her risk factors were kind of high, and she took it upon herself, and she made the decision to go ahead and have a mastectomy.
Oh, wow.
On both of her breasts.
Oh,
Just on the strength that her risk factors were high, and she didn't want to become later down in life, get in her 40s or, late 40s and find out that she, has developed breast cancer. So she wanted to be proactive of that. And that's what she did. I'm just not there.
Right.
That's just not what I wanted to do. So I chose not to.
Right. Right. And that's your right. That's your right.
Yeah. I just decided to deal with it as it comes and when it comes. If it even comes at all. And then, I've also had the flip side. My Aunt Dorothy. I'm sure you remember her. She was the matriarch of our family. My Aunt Dorothy was the first in the family to be diagnosed with breast cancer, and the last to have outlived everyone in the family that's had any form of cancer. She just passed away 3 years ago.
Wow.
And she lived to see 90.
Wow.
Went through the mastectomy, the whole 9. And outlived everybody.
Right. That's amazing. So you just never know.
You just never know.
You
just never know.
And thank you for sharing that, because I had never heard of that you can get go to get a test and see when your chances of getting it, and then you can opt to get a mastectomy without even actually having it. I never heard of that.
Yeah. And that's just that's just technology and how far it's come. But yeah, I'm just not there.
Right. Right. And that's fine. That's fine.
But
wow. All right. Well,
it's still a process.
Yes. I know it is, and as it should be. Like I said, because that's your mom. You only get one, So
yes.
Totally understand. And again, I thank you for being a guest on the podcast and sharing your story.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And so before we go, is there any one thing, a quote, or a statement you would like to tell the audience, or someone in the audience that is a only child, maybe dealing with a parent who has passed away from breast cancer, or just anything that you would like to?
The one thing I can say is, a lot of people will tell you when there's any kind of death to a parent, like, you'll be okay, it's going to be okay. I'm not going to tell you that, because I'm going to let you know it's a process.
Okay.
Definitely is a process. I'm not going to say it's an easy process. I'm not going to say it's a short process. It can be years before you can actually feel okay with the loss. So all I can just say is take your time, grieve in your own right, the way you feel comfortable. And it's not going to be an easy road. It's not. I mean, those are just tough things that we don't want to hear. But you have so many people that are trying to keep you positive and trying to keep your head up, but it's hard, and it's going to be a process. I mean, I can't say it's not, because it is. It's just the reality of things, and just keep your head up. I mean, it'll get greater later, but that later is determined on what's your later. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Okay. I totally do. Awesome. That's a great word. Great statement. So what are your social media handles, just in case somebody wants to reach out, to you and has any questions? How can we I
am on Instagram, little as Little Lil, Dana Dane 01. I can also be reached at D Lane A Miles at yahoo.com. That's my email. And I'm on Facebook as Dana Miles.
All right, awesome. Again, amazing. That was an amazing, amazing conversation. Thank you for coming on my podcast. And everyone that's listening, thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. And again, this show is dedicated to Mrs. Lisa Miles, who passed away from breast cancer. We thank
Thanks.
you. And before we go, I just want you to remember, just like the sun, you are necessary. See you later.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.